Rasul Katim Nabi'in Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And you open the sound witness nothing is worthy of worship except Allah. He is one alone with our partners and associates. And you open the sound with the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's a slave servant messenger and seal of the prophets. Peace be upon the Prophet, upon his descendants, upon his companions, and upon the righteous throughout the world. And peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. We say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, that is all the praise is due to Allah, the evolver of all systems of knowledge. We're forever thankful to Allah, highly glorified Thee, for once again allowing us to unite for this wonderful occasion of Jumu'ah, by which we come to seek his aid, to beg for his forgiveness, and to ask for his mercy. Because he tells in the Quran that had it not been for his mercy, none of us would be in existence. In fact, he said that his mercy exceeds his punishment. That's why we begin Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim with the name of Allah, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. That through him, because of him, we have all of the benefits. That's why we say the merciful benefactor. If you understand what a benefactor is, the benefactor simply gives you the benefits. And all you have to do is think about in terms of those who are aware of what takes place in terms of insurance. When you deal with insurance, you have the benefactor and the beneficiary. And the benefactor is the one through life have earned things, home, cars, possessions. And when they make that policy, they say, I want my son to have this. I want my daughter to have this. I want my nephew to have this. They are the ones who say, these are the beneficiaries who will receive what I've earned in life. They are the benefactor who's blessing you when you've done nothing to get it. Now, Allah is the benefactor. We say he's the merciful benefactor. He's the one who has given us an abundance of benefactors, and we've done nothing that make us worthy to receive it, just by virtue of the fact that he created us. And as we journey on this path called life, he says that he created the human being to submit his will to him. And based upon how we do that, based upon how we submit our will to Allah, that's how we will be rewarded for our efforts of serving him, because the only way we can serve Allah is that we serve people. Some people think that the worship of Allah is how sincere and how nice I am and how much I stay in the masjid, how much I do dhikr. That's a small part of the worship of Allah. The real part of the worship of Allah is how you serve people. See, you worship Allah by doing those things, but then you have to move beyond the rituals and actually aid another human being. That's why Allah clearly said the description of those who believe and do good deeds. The belief is always related to activity. That's why I say that those who give the zakat, they make the salat and they give the zakat. You have to have a relationship with Allah, then you have a relationship with people. So as we journey on this path called life, we have to now make ourselves worthy of receiving. So you're going to get the fundamentals. You will get the air, you will get the food, you will get the light, you will benefit from the sun, but then there's some things you must be worthy of the blessing that comes from the one who is making the sacrifice to strive fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah. So we're thankful to Allah, high glorifies you, for this opportunity to be here in Jumu'ah to serve him, that he bring this spirit together. That's Al-Jumu'ah. Al-Jumu'ah is Allah, is Al-Jami. He's the one who brings the spirit together. See, because sometimes human beings can be in the same place and spiritually they're divided. Spiritually they're disconnected. Allah is Al-Jami. He's the one that brings the disconnected parts together, so that those parts can be effective to do a job. Nothing operates by itself. Everything is interconnected. Everything relates and comes together to serve a particular part. So Allah is Al-Jami. He's the one that collectively brings this body together to serve him so we can be inspired to leave this Jumu'ah and go out there and serve people. That's why I say when the prayer's over, then you disperse in the land. Then you go back into your productive avenues of contributing to the growth and development of life. After you come and hear the word of Allah as demonstrated in the life of Muhammad the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now you are qualified. Now you are inspired. Now you are in a position to see yourself as a tool working for the renovation and elevation of man. That's how you have to see yourself. You have to see yourself as a tool that moves beyond ritualistic concepts. Now, Allah in the Quran clearly tells us what righteousness is. Righteousness is not that you live by yourself. You know the man they talked about? He made the salat. He fasted in Ramadan. He stayed in the masjid. They told Prophet Muhammad they were impressed with his spiritual devotion. But the Prophet said, well, who feeds him? And they responded and said, we do. And then the Prophet said, then you are better than him. See, because if you think your life is submitted to Allah is about just you being in the masjid, you fasting in Ramadan, and you going to do dhikr, that's a small phase of what it means to be a servant of Allah, because the servant of Allah must qualify himself by serving people. So Allah gives us a clear description of what righteousness is. And I remember I seen the movie Spike Lee, and I loved the title. And the title just was, Do the Right Thing. See, that's what righteousness is. Righteousness is doing the right thing. And your spirit tells you what the right thing is. Your spirit tells you have to get outside yourself. That's why zakat means you have to move beyond you. Zakat means you feel for another human being. That you can't be so self-consumed into your own world, where you don't feel the pain of another human being. So Allah says here in Quran, He says, it is not righteousness that you turn your faces east or west, but it is righteousness to believe in Allah and the last day and the angels and the book and the messengers, to spend of your substance out of love for him, for your kin, for the orphans, for the needy, for the welfare, for those who ask him, for the freeing of the slave, to be steadfast in prayer and practice regular charity, to fulfill the contracts which you have made, and to be firm and patient in pain and adversity, and through all periods of panic. Such are the people of truth, the God conscious. See, Allah tells us from the very beginning what righteousness is not. He let us know clearly it is not righteous that you turn in any direction. See, it's not righteous that you get into ritualistic concepts. Righteousness is first believing. See, because your belief inspires you to engage in doing something. When you look at a person doing something, you look at a person's lifestyle, you will see their belief system. Because their belief system is seen in how they live. So Allah says from the very beginning that you believe in Him. You know how many people don't believe in Allah? The one who gave them their life. They've been distracted from that relationship. That's why Allah said, be not like those who forget about Allah. And He calls them to forget about their own soul. Disbelief, doubt comes, and they give up their faith in Allah. They give up. So Allah said your righteousness is seen in your level of belief. In your level of belief, you first believe in him, then you have to realize you believe in the last day. You believe in the angels. You believe in the book. You believe in the messengers. And then after that, your belief inspires you now to activity. Because after the belief has been established, he said, then you spend of your sustenance out of love for him. Whatever you do, you're doing it out of love for him. He gave you what you have. And when he gave you what you have, there's a responsibility that comes with the gift he gave you. So you see his creation, you love his creation, you serve his creation out of love for him. He said, and you spend of your sustenance out of love for him first and foremost for your family. Do you know how many people become so righteous they neglect their family? It didn't say what your family was doing. It didn't say what your family belief system was. It said you spend your substance out of love for him, first of all, for your family. There's people who neglect their family. And they neglect their family because their family don't believe like they believe. Here's people that wipe your butt, wipe your nose, and now you neglect them. That wouldn't be doing the right thing. That wouldn't be righteousness. He said that you spend out of love for him, first of all, for the ones who took care of you. The bond that you have from your development. From your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, your brothers and sisters, your cousins. He is the love for your family. It would be insane for a human being to neglect his family. That you will be willing to give to others before you give to your family. That's insane. That's not doing the right thing. That is not righteousness. He said righteousness is not that you turn east or west, but first of all, it's belief, and then with that belief that inspires you to spend of the substance he gave you for the love of your family, out of love for him. And then from your family, he said, then you spend on the orphans. Those who've been abandoned. Those who've been neglected. See, you're feeling for people. Allah wants you to be a sensitive human being. A caring human being. We can't do the right thing to serve Allah being cold and callous, insensitive to other people. The only way we can properly serve Allah, we have to feel for another human being. That you feel their pain. You understand what it means to have empathy. I don't really know what you're going through, but I feel with you. I'm here with you. All that I understand what's happening in your life, I feel with you. And when you see a human being down in the mud, see a human being struggling, see a human being on drugs being wiped out by alcohol, you don't disrespect that human being. It's your job to call that human being to respect. It's your job to call that human being to the love that they have for themselves, to remind them of their worth and value as a human being. Reminding them of the first law of nature, which is self-preservation. So he said, we spend our substance out of love for him, for the orphan, for those who've been abandoned, from those who've been rejected. I saw a story last night, the other night, and they showed a man who his mother threw him in an alleyway, just left him abandoned. Never knew his mother, never knew his father. Got on the whole DNA thing, trying to find his connection, and found out that both his mother and father had died. Do you know what it means to be abandoned? Can you imagine to be abandoned? So Allah said you should feel for orphans. That's a troubled soul. They don't feel they have no conscious connection. I've been neglected, I've been abandoned, I've been dejected, I feel unworthy of respect and love. Some real serious trauma. Real serious traumatic experiences. So Allah says, after your family, He said you should care for the orphans. And then he says from the orphans that now you give to the needy. Those who need, because if we don't help the needy, we're going to have a bad world, a bad society, a society that's bent on neglect. So this is what it means to do the right thing. He said it is not righteousness that you turn your face east or west. He first let us know, he gives us the definition of what righteousness is by telling us what it's not. Because some religious people get locked into rituals. How you do this, how you do that, and they neglect their social responsibility. So Allah said righteousness is about work. You have to first get the belief system right. When you get the belief system right, then that belief inspires you. It moves you for service. That's why Muhammad the Prophet ﷺ said that the best of you is he who is most useful to society. And then he also says, that the best of you is he who learns the Quran and then teaches it. You know, the world needs to hear the Quran. It said those that you spend for the needy, people are in dire need of guidance. They need food, clothing, shelter, but they need guidance. They need some spiritual nourishment. This is how you help the needy. His soul is troubled. He needs the physical food. She needs the coat on her back, but they need something for their soul. So Muhammad the Prophet said for us that the best of you is he who learns the Quran. Spend time learning the Quran. And then what you begin to see what the Quran does for your life, share it and teach it with other people. And when we start sharing the revelation of the Quran with other people and wake them up to their true worth as a human being, we'll find a better world. People are in dire need of direction. They're looking for direction. They're attaching themselves to this philosophy. They're attaching themselves to this organization, all these social programs. And they still feel there's something missing. That's why the biblical verse says, what would profit a man if he gained the world but lost his soul? You've acquired all the things, but you still feel there's something that is missing. So it says, that the best of you. Don't you want to be in that position of being the best? The best of you is the one who learns the Quran. That you develop a relationship with this book. A book for all times that has a solution for all problems. The book that will get you in touch with your Creator and ultimately get you in touch with yourself and allow you to look at the world a whole different view. So the best of you is he who learns the Quran and then teaches it. That's what the world needs. They need to know, what does the law say about this? What does my Creator say about this? And if they've not been informed about this kind of relationship, that's what we have to introduce people to. Introduce them to the relationship they should have with their, not only their Creator, but their evolver, the one who is allowing them to graduate from stage to stage, growing you up. So he said it's not righteous that you turn east or west, and he goes on telling us what righteousness is. So you move from the needy, and then you give to the welfare. Then you give to those who ask. And then for the freeing of the slave. We talked last week about that. About 2018, how many slaves are being produced right now today as we speak. And in fact, they're still having physical slavery. See, we thought they got past the physical slavery. and move to the psychological slavery, the mental slavery. But don't you know in Libya right now, they are still selling human beings in 2018? Still selling human beings and using them as a beast of burden. Serving the interests of corrupt interests, corrupt people who will work to break a human being down and make him operate like a beast, carrying a burden for them. So Allah says for the freeing of the slave. But we know today, and we talked before about the sex trafficking, how they're using little girls and other people and selling them for sex. The freeing of the slave. They're in spiritual bondage. They grabbed their minds, got their minds locked up. So he said that you spend your means, your resources for the freeing of the slave. We talked about how the slave was made. How you break down a human being's will to resist. We talked about when we declare this faith of La ilaha illallah, we understand from the very premise, when we say la, no. And when you are not able, strong enough to say no, you're going right into bondage. You're going into emotional bondage. You're going into financial bondage. You're going into psychological bondage. You're going into spiritual bondage. When you can't resist, when you don't believe you have enough within you to say no, you're going into bondage. Because the slave is made by being conditioned to say yes, yes, yes. They're what we call a yes man. Yes, man. Yes, sir. Yes, yes, yes. No resistance. So you break a human being's will down to resist, you have him in captivity. And when you release him physically, he'll run off the plantation just like they did, and they'll run back because they can't see themselves being free. That's what happened to many of the slaves. Many of the slaves, when they were freed physically from bondage, it was so much of dependency that they ran off the plantation and had to think about it. Where am I going? This is too big for me. Because I've already been reduced in my mind for dependency. So Allah says that we spend our resources for the freeing of the slave. That's what righteousness is. And that you practice regular charity, you fulfill your obligation, your contract, keep your word. And then when you have some challenges, Allah says, and be firm and patient in pain and adversity. See, most people give up. They get a challenge, they get overwhelmed, they give up. It said from the very premise that it started off with your belief. Who do you believe in? Because see, realistically, if Allah is with you, can nobody be against you, no matter how rough it looks. That's why the Quran Allah talks about how many times have we allowed a small band to be the big band. The numbers looked overwhelming. And you just couldn't see your way out. But Allah said he'll make a way for you where you thought there could never be a way. He'll pull you through. But it first begins with where is your belief. It said that righteousness is not that you turn east or west, but it is that you believe in the law. That's doing the right thing. See, the right thing is you got to believe in the law. That he's guiding your life. If you connect your will to do his will, he's guiding your life. And yes, you will have challenges. We talked before about, look, right now, each and every one of us, we either doing one or three things. You're entering into a storm, whether it's a financial storm, it's a family storm, it's a social storm, it's a work storm, Whatever that storm is, all of us right now are either entering into a storm or we already in the midst of the storm. I mean, you caught up in the storm, you just can't seem to find your way through the storm. Or you're on your way out of the storm. Right now, every last one of us, we're on our way into a storm, we're already in the storm, or we're on our way out. That's the facts of life. Because that's the only way you're going to grow. Allah says time and time again, He's going to test you. Because there's nowhere in the world you can grow in life without a challenge. In fact, He says, that He created the human being to face difficulty. He gave you the capacity to deal with challenges. That's how you grow. Without a challenge, there's no growth. So we get all the training for the challenge. We get all the training for the challenges. And the faith is what you need to give you the anchor to hold your position. That's why last week we talked about truth. Bil haq. That which is doable. See, when your life is based on lies, inconsistencies, falsehoods, you got a weak foundation. You can't handle nothing. You get overwhelmed and wiped out when the challenge comes because your base is weak. But when your life is built on haq, on truth, you're strong. You stand upright. You're hanifa. You're upright. You're not bending. You're not bowing. You're upright. See, the slave is bending and bowing. You stand up. Hanifa, upright. So when the challenges come, you're strong enough with truth and conviction that your life, your prayers, and your sacrifices is all for Allah. So you have the constitution to deal with all periods of pattern, because He said, and to be firm and patient. You got to hold on. See, some people just don't have patience. You got to hold on. All throughout the Quran, Allah talks about He loved those who are patient. They have staying power. They know things don't operate quickly. Everything is graduation. The sun, how does the sun rise? The sun rises gradually. You know what it would do to your vision if the sun just popped automatically? Allah allows the sun to rise gradually. And then it sets the change, the time. It's a process. So Allah said that you be firm and patient in pain and adversity, and throughout all periods of panic. And then it qualifies those who have the fortitude and the firmness. He said, and such are the people of truth, the God kind. So He just described a group of people. It begins by telling you what righteousness is not and what righteousness is, and then it ends by telling you these are the people of truth, and they're conscious of Allah. And that's what you need in the world. You need consciousness of Allah. Because the consciousness of Allah is your protection. Without it, you're vulnerable. That's why the verse says, be not like those who forget about Allah. And He caused them to forget about their own soul. Now they become self-abusers. Because the word that's used here for God conscious or Allah conscious is the mutaqeen. The mutaqeen is those who have the same concept of taqwa, the same principle we talk about during Ramadan. Fasting is for the purpose of heightening taqwa. And taqwa is a preservation. See, the Allah fearing, the Allah conscious, those are the people who are working to preserve life. They realize first law of nature is what? Self-preservation. So He says, such are the people of truth. When we talked about truth, bil haq, the God conscious. They are those who are working to preserve the integrity of any situation. Because without God consciousness, shaitan is working. Allah consciousness is our protection. And Shaitan is working so subtly. Most people don't even think the devil exists. This generation today. See, I grew up in a time, and some of you grew up in a time when we talked about the devil. We knew the devil was real. They made jokes that the devil made me do it. You was aware that the influences of the devil was operating in the world. And the saying goes that the greatest trick Shaitan built or worked on the human being is in convincing that human being that he don't exist. And they think this is how life is normal. All this indecency, all this vulgarity, all this corruption, they believe this is how life is. Why? Because Shaitan has put them to sleep. He made them lower the God conscience that is in them. It's in them because Allah said he already inspired the soul. He inspired the soul from the very beginning with taqwa. فَالْحَمَهَا فَجُرَهَا وَالتَّقْوَى. He talked about how he inspired the soul with taqwa. He gave you this awareness, he gave you this conscience, but the mission of Shaitan is to turn that down. Turn it down so low, it don't even register to you. That's why you get overwhelmed. You start to panic. You give up. You harm other people because you're not living with an awareness of consequences. See, those who have a life based on truth and they're conscious of Allah, they live with an awareness of consequences. So if I live with awareness of consequences, I realize that there has to be some accountability. So when I live like that, I'm aware that I got to maintain some discipline. Without it, I'm vulnerable, and I can cause major injury to my life and to others. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وإن كان Assalamu alaikum. You know, there's a verse in Quran where Allah says, Muhammad the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet says, say, if you love Allah, follow me. Allah will love you and forgive you of your sins. For Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. It's a very, very powerful verse. He says, follow me. See, Shaitan is working to get the human being to follow him. And when you look in society, you can see heavily influence of Shaitanic leadership. And his whole mission is to pull the human being away from that relationship. To pull the human being from the relationship they should have with Allah, and as a result, pulling them from the relationship they should have with themselves. And when that happens, the human being is vulnerable for anything. So Muhammad the Prophet says, follow me. And all I want to leave you with today is about the power of followership. See, everybody wants to be in a position of, I'm not following nobody. But every strong person, every successful person, they follow somebody. I don't care who you tell me, who you think of, they followed somebody. Somebody paved the way to make life better for them. I don't care if they're training, I don't care if they're studying, they're following someone. And when you look in the world today, you see heavy influences of leadership of the devil that is leading people to death and destruction. So the prophet says, and follow me. If you love Allah, follow me. See, if you really, really love Allah, follow me. And the result of you loving Allah, follow Muhammad, he says, consequently, Allah will love you. That's powerful. Follow me, and when you do that, Allah will love you, and he'll forgive you for your sins. You know the word that's used there, yuhibbu, hub, love, attachment. It's the same word that is used for a seed. That seed, it grows, and when it grows, it makes a contribution. See, when Allah loves you, Allah gives you the nourishment you need to grow so you can make your contribution to life, which will give you a great sense of personal fulfillment. So if you love Allah, follow me, and Allah will love you and forgive you your sin. We all need the forgiveness of Allah. And Allah makes it very, very clear that he will forgive you over and over and over again. I don't care what you've been through. That long as you don't deny the fact that Allah is who he is and forfeit your faith, Allah says he'll forgive you. If you don't associate partners with Allah, Allah says he will forgive you. For he is all forgiving, most merciful. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if you did not sin, Allah will replace you with the people who would sin. And then they will seek the forgiveness of Allah and he will forgive them. That's power. I want to give it to you one more time. I want to make sure you get it. The Prophet Jesus said that if you did not sin, Allah will replace you with people who would sin. And when they did sin, they will seek his forgiveness and Allah will forgive them. The lesson is you're going to have some shortcomings. You're going to violate. You're going to go off course. You're going to sin. But Allah said the key thing here is that you seek his forgiveness. See, there's some people who sin won't even seek Allah's forgiveness. And then they just go deeper into sin. See, when you seek forgiveness, it means your conscience is working on you. I'm feeling bad about not doing the right thing. We talked about before about doing the right thing. When I sin, I'm not doing the right thing. My conscience now pricks me. But if I don't seek forgiveness, then the door is open for greater sin. Forgiveness brings me back. That means that Allah said, I will relieve you of that burden. Of the psychological and emotional burden. Allah said, he will lift it from you. So Muhammad the Prophet said, if you love Allah, then follow me. And Allah will love you and forgive you your sins, for Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. One verse, and we'll close out. Allah says here, Allah is the protector of those who have faith. From the depths of darkness, he will lead them forth into light. Of those who reject faith, the patrons are the evil ones. From light, they will lead them forth into the depths of darkness. They will be companions of the fire to dwell therein forever. See, here's the leadership of Allah, but here's the leadership of the devil. Allah said that Shaitan will lead the human being from the light into the depths of darkness. So you have to be conscious of Shaitan working. He's working 24/7. And his whole mission is to take you down into the depths of darkness where you can't even see. When you don't even see what is right and what is wrong. You got a veil over your eyes. It's triple dark. Deep, deep, deep. You can't even see. That's why Allah says, oh man, eat of the lawful and good things of the earth, and follow not the footsteps of the devil, for he is to you a clear enemy. You know what clear means? Clear means if I took that transparent tape, and I lit that tape up, I could see right through that tape. If I took that plastic, clear plastic bag, and I lift that plastic bag up, I can see right through that plastic bag. Allah said, you should be wise enough and sharp enough to see clearly the workings of the devil. See, if you submit your will to him, you are aware of the workings of the devil. And you know that his power is in the invitation. And Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him, said also that Shaitan flows in the human body like blood. You know one thing about blood? Your heartbeat, blood circulates all through your body, and you can't feel one bit. It's going through every vein and every organ in your body. You can't feel nothing. And that's how the influence of Shaitan operates in society. You can't feel it. It is so subtle. When you start reading this revelation called Quran, this book of guidance, and your perception is properly, you'll see the workings of Shaitan so clear because Allah said that his scheme is clear. This book is called Mubin. It's clear. And if the book is clear, it allows you to see clarity in the workings of the world. So Allah said the devil is a clear enemy to you, and he works through your food. I want you to be conscious of, be aware of what you eat. Most of the food you probably eat, most of the food Americans eat, is not grown, it's manufactured. They make this food in a laboratory. And they got all kind of additives in this food that make people addicted to the food. They become so addicted to the food it leads to many health challenges. You have more health challenges today than ever before in America. So he said, eat of the lawful and good things of the earth. Of the earth, not from the laboratory. A lot of this food, they got all the dyes in the food, yellow lemon this, yellow lemon that. Artificial colors. What do you think that does to your body? Allah says Shaitan is working to affect your life through what you put in your body. O man, eat of the lawful and good things of the earth and follow not the footsteps. Here's the followership again. And follow not the footsteps of the devil, for he is to you a clear enemy. Shaitan is working. He's working so much, Allah says, and Shaitan threatens you with poverty. He threatens you with poverty so much that you're afraid to give. You believe that if you give, you're going to be broke. You believe if you give, you're not going to have. Because you haven't read the Revelation where Allah said that when you give the zakat means that which grows and increases. It means that which purifies, but it also means to grow and increase. That when you give, you're making an investment in your soul. But Allah says Shaitan, he works very slick. Shaitan threatens you that if you give, you're going to be without, you're going to be poverty stricken. That's why we start the verse talking about righteousness was about belief, believe in Allah. And his system says that when you give in his cause, he started talking about that grain of corn, that when you give and you plant the seed, it multiplies. He's the multiplier. When you give in this cause, you are making an investment in your soul. So never be afraid to give in the path of Allah. Think that Allah is going to deprive you of anything. When you give in his path, he's going to allow you to flourish. He's going to allow your giving to multiply, and you'll live a life of abundance. Peace be unto you. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah.